Thank you for listening to the Weeknight Mysteries podcast. I'm Uras. I'm one of the hosts of this podcast. My co-host is here with me. Rain, how are you today?
Hello, everyone. I'm feeling completely great. How are you today?
I'm doing good. Today we're going to be talking about interesting disappearance case. We are trying to record again. The first time we recorded, I think several days ago. No, 1 day ago. I can't even remember. But the research notes were kind of all tangled up. So I think we just made a decision to try to re-record this and have like a better idea of what we're talking about here. So this podcast is coming out.
Hopefully on a Wednesday, but no pressure, of course.
I mean, Wednesday is literally today.
Oh, geez, yeah.
So it might come out maybe today, but then I might have to literally try to work on the edit, which, mind you, it's not that long to edit, but I might have to work on it right after.
Realistically, on Thursday.
Oh, I think worst case scenario. I think 1 day late, worst case scenario, but hopefully this will also be a good lesson for the future, because what I did with the research was a little bit different this time. Anyways, I think we should jump into the topic. The strange and I would say very suspicious disappearance of 15-year-old Kayla Berg was suggested by one of our listeners, Annette Cervantes, or Cervantes, Annette Cervantes. So thank you very much, Annette, for suggesting Kyla's case. I've never heard about it, and I already know that you never heard about Kyla's case.
Oh, definitely, yeah. If you haven't heard about it, chances are, like I would say 99.9%, I didn't know about it.
So this case, when I was looking into it, by, some articles, apparently it's kind of well known in Wisconsin, but it's not really national news, I would say, as some of the other cases that we talk about. Kayla Berg, just a 15-year-old girl, she goes missing under pretty strange circumstances. On August 11th, back in 2009, she has been missing for, I would say, more than 16 years now, because her 16-year missing anniversary, if my math is correct, was in August of this year, and we're already in September. So unfortunately, Kayla, she has been missing for longer than she had been alive at the time of her disappearance.
That's insane to think about, no?
Yeah.
And all along, did we have any, sightings or tips or any updates about Kayla?
We had some movement, but by the sound of it,
It just died.
The case had gone completely cold for the last, I would like to even say, at least a decade, because honestly, the updates and things were really moving for the first 2 years of her disappearance, and then things kind of stopped. I think there's a good reason for it, because we have several
very suspicious individuals, I would say.
Yeah, several suspicious individuals, especially one very suspicious individual that seemed to be the main focus of interest for police. But it seems that they do not have enough information at the moment, and not sure if they will ever have enough information to, pin this guy. We're going to be talking about this particular individual on the podcast because, his name is out there, publicly available for everyone.
His picture as well.
Kayla, she was allegedly, and you're going to be proud of me here, Kayla was allegedly seen in Wausau.
Oh, that's amazing. Okay, quick background. On the first try of recording this case, we were butchering the name so badly, it was actually hilarious. I couldn't stop laughing at one point because it's spelled as Wausau, and all this time, Yuris was saying Wausau, and then after googling it, it was supposed to be.
Wausau.
And then right after googling it, when we heard like the correct pronunciation, Yuris was like Wusu,
Yeah.
and it was hilarious.
It was actually terrible. For the first time when we were recording this podcast, like the other day, we were referring it to W City. It was so
It was
bad.
that bad.
The whole thing was just terrible. But it's Wausau. And the thing is, you can't blame me, man. It's literally Wausau. How is that
How
Wausau?
are we gonna know?
I sometimes wonder, is it like, I bet even in America, people not from Wisconsin, they would read this.
Wausau.
They wouldn't know it's Wausau. Regardless, let's keep moving, okay? Popular case in Wisconsin, as I mentioned. It's kind of like a central Wisconsin case. I'm not really sure if you know where Wisconsin is. My geography of America was not the best because, honestly, before this podcast, if you ask me where Wisconsin is, I kind of couldn't picture it. I kind of would say it's more on the east coast of America. It's kind of...
Wasn't it? Isn't it?
Yeah, I think it kind of is, I guess, but it's kind of like center up America.
Oh, for some reason I thought it was like somewhere next to like, I don't know, or like above Texas or...
Well, it's definitely above Texas. Now, there are, as I've said, several interesting people of interest. I think I identified, maybe, you know what? If you just did the background, quick information on this case, you would probably say, okay, there's two people we want to talk about. One is the family friend who was last seen with Kayla. And then the next one is Kayla's boyfriend, or like, maybe we could even say ex-boyfriend, it depending on who you ask. Were they exes? Were they still together? Whatever. So these are like the two people that you would see if you just read an article. But if you dig a little bit deeper, and I didn't do the digging, someone else did, and I just kind of read their digging, the boyfriend's extended family is questionable. And also are under scrutiny by Web Sleuth. And I will be talking about it. I'm telling you, this is already stuff that's like a little bit deeper in the iceberg. It's not surface level information that we're gonna be going over today. Anyways,
let's start from the very beginning.
no, obviously we have to build everything up. It's, I'm just giving a little introduction into
Kind of like a trailer.
for what we're about to do. And for majority of the time, the case takes place in the town of Antigo, because Antigo is already a smaller town in central Wisconsin. It's where Kayla is from originally, and the city itself, it's not that big. It's around 8 to 10,000 residents, so it's a city on a smaller scale.
Very small.
Yeah, it's basically a center of farming and lumbering district. So lumber and farming seem like they are the biggest industries locally there. There's not much information about Antigo. The only thing that kind of jumps out in Antigo, and it's on their Wikipedia page, I have to mention it, several years after Kayla disappeared, and this is entirely unrelated event, if you ask me. There was an attempted school shooting that took place in Antigo. There was a former high school student who went to school.
But this is not the same school Kylo was in, right?
No, or at least I don't know. Maybe it is, because how many schools are there?
That's true. But then there how many people are living there again?
Like around 10,000.
10,000. There should be multiple.
I would
So
assume
it's-
there's at least a few.
Yeah.
Regardless, luckily, the only casualty was the shooter himself. And, there's only a few articles about it online, and apparently the school shooter, the culprit, he had some sort of mental problems, as I understand. And he was recently graduated in 2016. Kayla disappeared 7 years prior to that, so I would assume this person would have been like 10 or 11 or 12 at the time of Kyla's disappearance, so I'm not really making any connections.
Yeah, definitely not.
Naturally.
They seem so far away from each other.
Yeah, so once again, central Wisconsin we're talking about here to give you a better picture. The closest notable city in America that is known maybe like outside of, Wisconsin, that is close to this location would be the city of Green Bay.
Jeez, even I had never heard of that.
The only reason why I know about Green Bay is because of the Green Bay Packers, which is one of the oldest NFL teams, still active. Yeah. And it's so, I would say, funny because when I went digging for people, typing in names of people that I see on the case, and obviously where I'm looking for them, Facebook. So I'm typing in their names in Facebook. I'm not lying. Half or more than half of them got the Green Bay Packers shirt on.
Oh, that's cool.
Half of these people or their family members have a on Facebook profile Green Bay Packers t-shirt.
Hey, you can't blame them for such a small city.
Or like, location.
Yeah, that's true.
It's pretty funny. Wausau, the city where Kayla went missing from, is approximately 34 miles away from Antigo, which is around 40-minute drive. So that's all I'm going to tell you. Kayla, she grew up in Wisconsin. She was born on August 29th, 1993. So when she went missing, she went missing, I would say maybe 3 weeks before her birthday, 16th birthday. She was born to Hope Springer and James Spanbauer. These are her parents. So I don't know how much you read into it, but from my understanding, they were never married. And they also had another child, the two of them, which would be Kyla's older brother, Jimmy, who was 2.5 years older than Kayla. So I would say Jimmy was around 18 by the time Kayla went missing. Unfortunately, there was a bad situation in the family when James, and by the way, Hope and James, Kyla's parents, they had separated when Kayla was just a toddler, but apparently their, separation was quite friendly.
Okay, so I'm assuming they were in good terms when Kyla was around the age where she disappeared. Teenage years, basically.
Yeah, I would say there was, at least it's not nothing online, that there was like family problems.
Okay, that's good to hear, basically.
Yeah, they had a couple kids. They never married, and they separated when Kayla was a toddler. So, unfortunately, James, Kyla's father, was diagnosed with cancer sometime in, I believe, Kyla's teenage years, and he needed dialysis at some point. So he had to move with his parents for extra support. So those would be Kyla's grandparents from her father's side.
Okay, but they were already living separately, right?
Yes, everyone's living separately.
Okay, and her father, when he moved to his parents' place, was it a far away location? Do you have any information about it? Or was he living around the area as well?
I think it was right there in the area.
Okay.
I think everyone was living in Antigo. So yeah, to paint a better picture, James, the father, is living with his parents who are supporting him during his cancer fight. And and Jimmy is living with Hope, and they're living separately in the same city, Antigo, small town in Wisconsin. Kayla was a very social person. She had a lot of friends, and she seemed like she was. Honestly, we already talked about it yesterday. It feels like she had way too much freedom. Wouldn't you agree? For her age.
Oh, definitely. I know we're going to talk about it more, but I just have to say that most of the things that she was doing at that age, my mom would be so frightened and would be so angry if I did it myself.
Same here. I couldn't really do the things that Kyla was able to do at 15.
Yeah, one of them is going outside at 9 p.m.
Yeah, casually, you know.
Yeah.
And then no plan for coming back from the looks of it. Or like there is, like when you're coming back, it's like up for debate.
Yeah.
It's kind of...
No clear plans of going back,
No,
basically. It's
strange.
unimaginable for me.
Me too, honestly. I didn't grow up with this type of freedom, so I can't really relate in this way. Regardless, one thing that Kyla was really good at was gymnastics. She was a really good gymnast, and yeah, that's basically an occupation she, really liked. Another thing to mention that as she was progressing through her high school years, and I think this was the year after, like the school year that ended before she disappeared, I think her grades started to slip a lot. So that's also something to mention, that apparently her grades were suffering as well.
Could be a normal
some
thing.
extent.
Come on. She was growing up. She was a teenager. And come on. You were a teenager once. Didn't your priorities shift?
I would say not to the extent that Kyla's shifted.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Just to the extent that your grades and school marks started dwindling down.
Oh yeah, they were terrible by the time I was in high school, like they were still okay.
Passable,
Yeah,
basically.
earlier on, but then they kind of really took a nosedive real quick. So, as I've said earlier, Kyla went missing in August, right? So, right before the next school year started. But as she was finishing up the school year, leading up to her disappearance, actually, Kyla and Hope, her mother, they had a brief relocation to Texas, because at this point, by the end of the school year, apparently Hope, her mother, had been struggling financially, and she didn't have a job, as I understand.
Oh, I can imagine. Imagine being a single mom of two.
Yeah.
Yeah, no wonder. And I heard that she had a family in Texas, right?
Yes, you're right. She had the family in Texas that told her that there would be bigger job opportunities in Texas. So naturally, she, took a flight and she brought Kyla with her. And I think initially they thought that this would be a permanent relocation to Texas. Now, Jimmy, Kyla's brother, he didn't go because, he was, I think, already 18 or something like that. So he was going to stay in Antigo. And the family, the two of them, Hope and Kyla, they went to Texas. However, this was a very short-lived, brief move to Texas because there were no job opportunities for Hope in Texas, the ones that, she thought she would be able to get. And also in the new school that Kyla would start attending for the next school year, there was no gymnastics class. So naturally, she decided not to take that.
Yeah, that's very unfortunate.
And I think the most critical part of why they decided to move back is because James, her father, his health had deteriorated significantly. and in like a short period of time. So they decided to go back and be closer to James just in case something happened. So this was the bad situation. The bad thing about this move back was that, remember, Hope had still no job. So she couldn't afford rent like she was able to in the past in Antigo. That's my understanding. And Hope went on to live with some of her friends, while Kyla went to live with her grandparents. She was living in the hallway of the grandparents' home in a cot, in a kind of terrible living situation, at least compared to what she probably was used to.
But isn't this the part of the story wherein she hanged out more with her friends and she was barely home?
Yeah, we're kind of getting to
Okay,
that part.
sorry.
No, definitely, because it's literally what I was about to mention.
I just wanted to say, like, I kind of understand her at this point, because if you're already used to your own private room and you have all this privacy in the world, all of a sudden you're living in a cot at your grandparents' hallway. That's like basically a 360. I wouldn't be able to get used to that immediately.
Oh man, I can imagine that was probably a tough, how should I put it,
Situation to be in.
adjustment period.
Oh yeah, that's true. Definitely.
Yeah. So shortly after she came back, and this is some information I was able to gather online, Kyla started hanging out more with other teenagers, and she was actually making trips. I don't know, was it the first time in her life, or was she doing it before? But now she was making regular trips to Wausau, which is kind of spooky when you ask me, because let me just finish this. She was still 15.
Yeah, I'm wondering how she managed to go there that often. Like, she's 15. She probably couldn't drive.
Yeah, she definitely couldn't drive. I think what helped her out was the fact that her mother was living in one place, her father was living in another place, and she was living with, I believe, the mother's grandparents.
Wait, so the mom wasn't living with them?
No, the mom was living with with her friends.
Okay, that's insane to think about.
It's like, it's
Very
more
separate.
very separate situation. It was supposed to be temporary until Hope gets a job.
But how come? Is there a reason why Hope didn't just live with the parents and her daughter? Basically,
Maybe there was no space. Because let's remember, Kyla was already relegated to the hallway.
Oh yeah, that's true.
So there's probably no space for Hope.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
You know
now.
what I mean? So, moving closer to the time when she disappeared, I don't know why it's mentioned one day before she disappeared, because I don't know, when I do the math, 11 minus 9 equals 2. So I would probably still say, 2 days before she disappeared. She did something that apparently is a common teenage trick. Kyla did. She was hanging out with her friend Natasha, and both of these girls, they told their parents that they're staying at each other's homes for the sleepover. Natasha said she's gonna spend the night at Kyla's place and vice versa. And the two of them, in fact, went to a overnight bonfire party that was somewhere, I believe, in Antigo, and it was to celebrate the end of the school year. I've never done this, and I honestly never heard anyone else doing this. Have you ever heard in your childhood, or maybe you've been a part of such a scheme?
No, I haven't. I haven't even heard of midnight, all night parties. But maybe because we're on the other side of the world, maybe it's pretty common there. I don't know, but it seems like a very classic teenage move. Like, I couldn't really blame her, or I don't know, all of her friends. Basically, it's like something like a normal teenager would have done. So far, nothing out of the ordinary.
I would also like to mention this really quickly that this wasn't a thing back in Lithuania when I
Yeah.
was a kid. I think this is very like small town America. I think small town America kids, my just understanding, I could be wrong here, but my understanding is that they had way more freedom than, like,
Or
let's
maybe
say,
school trips, school celebrations.
I think still there's way more freedom in small town America. Like, I think kids have way more like freedom to do what they want there, either for good or for bad. It's up to you to decide.
Oh man, when I was a teenager, I was jealous. I wanted to be American.
I was restricted. I remember at one point I wanted to be American.
Like those parties, right? Red Solo Cups.
Yeah, man, at one point, not that, in general, I was like, man, why am I in this small Lithuania? I kind of was like, man, I would like to be an American. Fast forward, the sentiment is different now, but hey,
Mainly because of politics.
I guess I've grown accustomed to this small, boring, peaceful country. And maybe it would be
Without all-nighter bonfire parties.
Yeah, man, it's not me anymore. But growing up, I was like, man, why couldn't I be an American? Why am I in this small country? Okay, let's move on. Okay, so they do this trick, and it ends horribly wrong. None of them come back home the next day, which is bizarre. I don't know. It was never explained. Maybe they just lost track of time and they spent too much time at the party. Kyla's mother and Natasha's mother, they start panicking. They go to the police and they try to report them missing. In the process of reporting them, I don't know exactly how, but it comes out that they're both safe and sound and nothing happens after that. So Kyla then basically, I don't know if she got grounded or anything. Seems like she was still free to kind of move around the next day. I mean, I will say I understand that to some extent because, everyone's so separated. It's kind of tough, what I mean, to keep track of Kyla. The one interesting thing that happened during this ordeal when, Kyla was missing for the first time, the time when she came back home 2 days before she really disappeared for a long time. Hope was calling her friends to ask where Kyla was, and she found out that Kyla had been spending a lot of time in Wausau, and she even had a boyfriend, a 19-year-old man. You have to say man, he's 19, way older than Kyla, named Miguel Marrero from Wausau. He was apparently a guy who was hosting a lot of parties in Wausau with his brothers. And this was shocking because Hope had never known that Kyla was making these trips to Wausau, and she had a problem with that, naturally. So Hope talked to Kyla, and they both agreed that Wausau was off limits, and I think Kyla even said that she would break things off with Miguel, the boyfriend. That's why I'm saying we don't know exactly if he was the current boyfriend or ex-boyfriend. It's kind of up for debate. And apparently Miguel, when they were still together, up to a week before she disappeared, he would go to Antigo with his car, and he would pick up Kyla, and I think they would drive to Wausau. That's how she would end up hanging out in Wausau a lot.
I wonder how they met though, because it feels too far away from each other to have just like, I don't know. It could be in a teenage party.
I think it was one of the parties, as I understand.
Could be.
So Miguel also said that he saw Kyla last the Friday before she disappeared. She disappeared on Tuesday, and apparently he saw her the Friday before she disappeared. I don't know under what circumstances. I would say maybe at one of his Wausau parties. Now let's move on to the day of the disappearance, where things really get quite interesting, and we will be introduced to a very interesting person in this case. So, the day when she disappeared started off normally. I believe this was August 11, Tuesday, kind of getting close to the beginning of the school year, but still, last few weeks of spring, summer vacation. Kylie is hanging out with Natasha, the same girl that they pulled the switcheroo trick a couple of days ago that made their parents panic. They go to the local park, they hang out with Natasha, and after some time, they go back to Natasha's home. So inside of Natasha's home, there is Natasha's older brother, there's Kyla's older brother Jimmy, and 24-year-old Kevin Kielcheski. Kevin Kielcheski apparently is like a big brother slash taxi driver for this younger group of kids. But apparently he was like the protector of the friend group. Because, he's bigger and like older.
He's way older.
And I bet he was providing them with alcohol. Come on, let's be real here.
That's true.
Most likely, right? So at Natasha's, Kyla and Kevin, they make a plan to meet up later in the day. I don't know. To me, it doesn't quite sit right because this guy is 24 and Kyla's like 15. It just sounds weird. What do you think about it?
I'm assuming the family knew this guy for a very long time now.
So, yeah, apparently he even spent some time at the family home and ate dinner with the Berg family. Well,
yeah, so right now I'm sensing a vibe of like, oh, this is another family member.
Yeah, but I'd still have a problem.
From the sounds of it.
I'd still be like, it's kind of weird.
It wouldn't be weird if they knew him ever since he was a kid. But if they known him for like just a year or two, then it would have been weird, yeah.
I don't know exactly how long they knew Kevin for.
That's actually unfortunate because I would love to know if it's like they've known him for a long time or...
So Kevin comes into picture because he is at some places reported as the best friend of Jimmy. Jimmy is Kyla's older brother.
Wasn't he like 18 or something?
Yeah, but Jimmy is 18. So Jimmy is also quite a bit younger than Kevin. But it's a small town.
Yeah.
So maybe in small towns, you can't really pick from a lot of people who will become your friends. So maybe it kind of makes sense.
Yeah, maybe it's
in
normal.
That way. Yeah, maybe in that way it's normal. You know what I mean? Okay, so let's proceed here. At some point, Kyla goes back to her home from Natasha's. So now she's at her grandparents' home. We know because of phone records that she is receiving a phone call from Kevin Kielcheski, the big brother, the big protector of the younger group friend, at 8:45 p.m. in the evening. And shortly after she leaves the grandparents' home. Now, she is, by the way, I want to make a correction here. She is staying with the grandparents of her father, so of James. So James is there and his parents are there, which are, Kyla's grandparents. So she is at their place. Just days after, she pulled this crazy switcheroo, she's really leaving at 9 p.m. Maybe if she promised, the grandparents that she would come back by 11, maybe they let her go. I'm gonna maybe assume that was the case, that she left with Kevin, but she said that, I'm gonna be back in a couple hours. And maybe it was just regular Kyle activity, and they just let it slide. Let's just put it that way, unless you have other thoughts about it, because it is weird that she gets to, you and me, we never had this freedom, and for us it's like hard to understand how this is happening.
Yeah, definitely, I'm with you on this.
But I'm just trying to picture that maybe in this type of a setting, it was kind of okay.
Yeah.
So at 9:30 p.m., so roughly like half an hour into their trip, Kyla and Kevin, they go to a local McDonald's in Antigo. And as I understand, Kevin stays in the car while Kyla goes to the McDonald's. She goes there because she is going to talk to her friend who is doing a shift in McDonald's. Her friend's name is Beth. So the two of them talk. Beth later said that Kyla seemed completely like her normal self, happy and bubbly, nothing out of the ordinary. They agreed that Kyla will give her a phone call later in the same day. So let's remember that Kyla, she doesn't own a cell phone. So I assume that it was an agreement that she's going to make that phone call from her own home. How else is she going to call?
Yeah, that's true. And this wasn't... When was this?
2009. So this was already cell phone time, but Kyla didn't have a cell phone.
Okay.
Because, 2009, I could see how not everyone has a cell phone, especially...
Those were crappy phone era, no?
Yeah, and especially at 15, it's like... I could see how 15-year-olds don't have a cell phone in 2009.
That's true.
Right? It seems normal. So this is an important detail because Kyla would never make that phone call. She never called Beth and she never came back home. And this is where her trail ends, that McDonald's trip. So she came back into the car with Kevin Kielcheski and she never came back home. And she has never been heard from or seen from for 16 years.
And Kevin is walking like
Freely.
a free man?
Like a free man.
Okay, that's interesting. We need more details.
Okay, so what happened the next day? It's August 12th. It's Wednesday. James, Kyla's father, I don't know, he wakes up or something. He notices that Kyla is not home. So naturally, he calls Kevin.
Why Kevin? Why Kevin specifically? Was it because they knew that Kyla was with him last, or was he a very trusted family member?
I don't know exactly why they called Kevin first, but I just assumed that, he saw that Kyla left with Kevin, and natural first thing to do is to call Kevin.
Interesting. I would have called Hope first.
So he tries to call Kevin. He calls Kevin. And Kevin basically answers the phone, as I understand. And this is crucial information that we're talking about. And I can't verify, but I'm just guessing from like several articles that I've read that he picks up the phone in the morning. He picks up the phone. And he tells James that, they hanged out. And at some point, he dropped Kyla off at someone's house, like another one of Kyla's friends' homes. He doesn't know exactly where he dropped her off or who was this.
Not by one bit.
No. I think he mentions that it was in Wausau, 35 miles away. And he can't remember where in Wausau. He can't remember who was there. He just dropped off Kyla and went back to Antigo. So James, then, I guess that's all the information he could get from Kevin. He probably is thinking, a huge red flag. He then tries to call Hope immediately, as I understand. Hope doesn't pick up her phone. Maybe she's trying to get a job or something. I don't know. It was Wednesday, maybe she's busy. Hope doesn't pick up her phone, so he leaves her a voicemail telling her what's up. Hope returns the voicemail and gives James a call on the next day. So now we're moving on the 13th, already one day into Kyla being missing. So they talk, and I think it's kind of strange here because I don't have any more action being taken by anyone for the 13th, because the next action is taking already on the 14th. Hope calls Kyla's friends on the 13th. So this is already 2 days into her disappearance. Also, she calls Beth, the person from McDonald's. They explain to her that, Kyla never called, and then nothing on the 14th. And then the next action starts on the 15th. Jimmy, older brother of Kyla, tells Hope where Kyla could potentially be. So I don't know. I think Jimmy is living also separately from Kyla and from everyone else.
Yeah, I really don't understand this part.
It's pretty kind of hard to keep track of it. But regardless, Jimmy gives Hope a phone number and address of someone where Kyla could be staying. I don't know which address or what phone number was given to Hope. But Hope naturally calls because it's been 3 days since anyone last saw Kyla. And no one picks up the phone. And action ends for the 15th. Next action starts at the 16th. This lead that Jimmy provided completely fell apart. Maybe Hope called it, they picked up, and they were like, oh, we have no idea where Kyla is.
Oh, okay.
It's bizarre. And at that point, Kevin finally replies to Hope because Hope had been trying to get a hold of him for a few days, I believe. And only 4 days later, Kevin finally replies via text messages. His story is the same as the story he had given to James on the morning of her disappearance.
But what took him so long to reply to Hope?
I don't know.
That's so interesting. It's been days, and it's not like she's asking like, "Oh, I think you forgot your jacket at home." It's something very crucial. You couldn't just like ignore it for a few days and just text back, really?
Yeah, and in the text he doesn't provide any information, as we already know. So it takes another full day until on the 17th Kyla is reported missing. So it's kind of been like 5 days of seemingly wasted time. Now, Hope had came out in interviews, I think a year ago or something like that, and she regrets not taking any action.
Oh, definitely. I just don't understand the part wherein one night, it was an overnight sleepover. Well, there was an excuse. It's a sleepover with her friend, and then the following morning, the moms were all panicked. Where are our kids? But then again, this time around, she has been missing for days, and only then they called the police.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I would understand 1 day of waiting, maybe, or like at the end of the next day, because it's like, oh, okay, it happened recently. Maybe she went to another party, she'll show up.
But not 5 days.
No.
Yeah.
That's insane wait.
I'm with you on this one. And the investigation began, okay? Law enforcement immediately questions Kevin. Obviously. And he tells...
As they should.
Yeah, of course. And he tells them the same exact story. He tells them they were together for 2 hours in total. And he said to law enforcement, maybe it was a mistake on his part, but he said that they were smoking weed together.
That's insane. She was 15.
Yeah, so he tells police that they were smoking weed together that day. This was maybe a mistake on his part, if he's a culprit, because later on this gave police power to do a thorough investigation on him due to endangerment of a minor charge that he was slapped with. That's coming up in a bit.
But then again, isn't this an indicator that he could have potentially been telling the truth? Because
he told a lot of personal,
like
self-incriminating stuff.
Yeah, like it felt like he came clean. Like, I was smoking. with the 15-year-old.
You have a good point here. You have a good point here.
And the story stayed consistent.
Consistently bad. The story
Yeah.
stayed consistently terrible.
Yeah, but then again, he told this story to different people on different days.
Yeah.
Even if it's bad, it was consistent.
Yeah, that is true. It never changed. He wasn't providing a lot of information. So when they talked to Kevin's mother, his mother said that she saw him at around midnight on the day when Kayla disappeared. So now there's a huge kind of gray area. Is Kevin's mother lying to police? Or did she really saw Kevin?
What do you mean she saw him, like, outside? Or did he go home?
I think go home.
Okay. So it kind of, so far, fits the narrative, no?
Yeah, it would definitely kind of, I guess, explain things as Kevin, would say. So eventually they were able to find out which house did Kevin drop Kayla at. Because remember, at first they couldn't do it, and Kevin himself, apparently he doesn't remember. So this was Wausau 1017E Wausau Avenue. Okay, this is the house. 1017E Wausau Avenue. And this was a huge red flag because this house belonged to Miguel, the boyfriend of Kayla. Now the problem is that Miguel had not been living there already for some time because the house had been condemned and it was deemed by the city to be unlivable, so no one could live there.
Now I don't understand anything because, yeah, it's like, I don't know, it's really terrifying the fact that that address belonged to Miguel, but at the same time, why would Kayla request to be dropped off there? Then she probably didn't know that Miguel isn't living there anymore.
She did know. She knew that Miguel wasn't living there, and that's what police is saying, because she already been to Miguel's new place.
Okay,
to
that's so
party.
odd.
Why would Kayla tell Kevin to drop her off at Wausau in the middle of the night when she didn't make plans to spend the night over at a different place, and she made plans to call Beth from McDonald's, seemingly from the landline at her grandparents? Why would he tell Kevin to drop her off at Wausau Avenue 1017E, where her boyfriend or ex-boyfriend, whatever
Was
the case may
living
be,
there.
wasn't already living there because the house is condemned?
Is there a possibility that she was also high when she made this request? And
Maybe.
there's a possibility, right?
There is a possibility. I'm telling you. Yes, the answer is there is a possibility.
And maybe she forgot that he wasn't living there anymore.
Maybe, but it's kind of hard to believe. On top of that, Kayla is afraid of the dark, and her mother has no understanding why would ever, in any circumstance, 15-year-old scared of the dark Kayla requests to be dropped off close to midnight at a complete dark location.
She must have been meeting someone there.
If this was even happening. Because this is Kevin's story.
But then again, it's so specific. If it was just Kevin's story, then that means he knew where the boyfriend was living in.
Yeah, potentially.
It's too specific.
Even though he claims he doesn't know and he doesn't remember. Maybe he did know exactly where this was, and maybe this was his attempt to throw suspicion to Miguel.
Oh.
I'm just saying.
I never thought of that.
I'm just saying what just jumps naturally to mind. So basically Kevin also said something interesting. He said that the house was completely dark. He didn't see anyone inside of the house. And he didn't see if Kayla even went inside of the house. Okay. After this interview with police, he stopped cooperating, got a lawyer, and he has never been willing to speak to the media or to police after this one initial interview with law enforcement.
But wasn't he slapped with the...
That's coming up in a little bit. Law enforcement did go in and search the house where, Kevin says he dropped off. That is 1017E Wausau Avenue. We have some pictures of this house. Maybe you could take a quick peek at it. Tell me what you see at the house. It, to me, looks like a very, if someone told me, I feel like this house could be in Wisconsin dictionary as a Wisconsin house. Just screams something about just Wisconsin house.
What even is a Wisconsin house?
I mean, I think we're looking at it right now. Can you show me which image you're looking at? I just want to make sure. Yeah, I mean, it does look like...
Why does it look... Okay, oh no, I was looking at some other area. Okay, so it's right in front... A stadium?
No, it's right in front of a elderly home. For elderly...
Why does it look so weird, the elderly home from aerial view?
Honestly, from the aerial view, the elderly home looked like a prison.
Yeah, that's true. It's like,
so weird.
The shape is so odd.
The shape looks like a prison for old people. So funny story about this house. Not so funny, maybe. It's demolished.
Nowadays.
It has been demolished, I believe, somewhere between 2018 and 2020. Because if you go on the Google Street View, it's kind of just not there after a certain year. Mm-hmm. It's just all gone.
Yeah. I would say it's a massive house, but maybe a regular house for America.
I would say it's not even that massive, to be honest. It looks like a okay house, but it's not ginormous.
Oh, come on! It looks like it had like
two floors,
at least 4 rooms, 4 bedrooms.
Yeah, I think it's a 4-bedroom. So it's not small. Definitely, it has a garage.
I wouldn't say it's scary looking. I was expecting more, I don't know, sketchy looking.
Maybe it looks kind of sketchy at night, though. This neighborhood.
In the darkness? Oh yeah, definitely. But then again, it's right in front of an elderly home. Wouldn't that be lit up?
Probably not, because elderly people are probably sleeping at that
Yeah, but then the outside, from the aerial view,
maybe a little
it looks
bit.
Kind of nice. So I'm assuming like it has a garden and there's like, I don't know, garden lights.
Maybe, yeah.
But the house is, I don't know, it does seem like it's gonna be really spooky at night.
Yeah, definitely, right. So now we're gonna be talking, and we're kind of rounding up already, to some extent. We're gonna be talking about Kevin's charge with reckless endangerment. So in October of that same year, October 26th, so I would say a couple of months into Kyle's disappearance, he was slapped with reckless endangerment of a minor because he admitted to smoking weed, and he was driving a girl who was underage, which he had smoked weed in, and dropped her off in a shady location. Obviously, it checks out to me initially that this was reckless endangerment.
Definitely.
Right, you wouldn't think that this is out of order, this, charge.
Oh yeah, no. He deserved to be slapped with it.
So, because of this, the police were able to search his vehicle, the Jeep that he was driving. There were several items of interest recovered from the car and sent for testing, but we do not have any information, and seems like nothing came of them.
Yeah, most likely, because otherwise we would have heard something, or something would have been posted online, or...
Exactly. Phone records showed that there was no activity on his phone, meaning that his phone was turned off.
Oh, really?
Between 9 p.m. and 2 p.m. the next day when Kayla was already missing.
Okay, that's really sketchy. I was assuming that maybe it was locked and he wasn't using it.
There was no activity, meaning that I believe it was turned off because it wasn't pinging anywhere. So I assume it was turned off.
Okay.
And
Now I'm thinking, sorry, just really quickly.
of course,
What would be the reason why you would turn off your phone at nighttime when you're
there
awake?
is a little bit more information here.
Okay, sorry.
No, you're asking perfect questions. This wasn't the first time his phone showed this type of activity. He had turned off the phone during these hours in the past as well. And on top of that, he had already turned off the phone apparently at 9 p.m. And let's remember that at 9:30 p.m. they made a visit to McDonald's. So it wasn't like he turned it and immediately started doing shady stuff. I don't know why he would turn it off. Honestly, I've never heard of anyone just randomly turning off their phone for hours until the morning. Is he getting that many texts that he needs like a digital detox? I don't know. I don't
Every
see
night?
it. Yeah, every other night. The digital, can't you just like not open your phone?
I knew someone who turned off his phone every time he started drinking.
Oh, because they were afraid that they would.
Like message someone, post something, they do something they'd regret. So
Yeah.
I knew that person every time he would have a sip or he would go outside to drink,
Yeah.
phones turned off. So
This
is
actually,
it the same
this
for
actually,
Kevin?
this kind of makes sense actually when you think about it, because Kevin may have wanted to turn off the phone because he was about to smoke some weed.
Yeah, he didn't want to access it while he was high. And it would make sense that it happened a few times before, no?
Yeah, that would tell us that he was probably smoking weed on a more regular basis. And this wasn't the first time, obviously.
Obviously.
So, in December of the same year, a cadaver dog was brought in to inspect 10 vehicles. This was like a little trick that police did. They lined up 10 vehicles. One of the vehicles was his Jeep, a cadaver dog that is supposed to smell dead human remains. Came in and smelled all of those vehicles. And the only vehicle that it stopped at was Kevin's Jeep. So that's interesting. And I did a little bit more digging online because I was thinking naturally, the timeline is so short. Would cadaver dogs be able to smell something even if there was a dead person for, let's say, an hour in the car? And the answer is yes. Because when you die, your body immediately starts producing chemicals that will stay in that place. And cadaver dogs can smell those chemicals, even if you've been dead for like 15 minutes.
Like your dead body is in a car, or a dead body is in your car for like, I don't know, maybe 5 minutes.
I don't know about 5 minutes,
Maybe
but if
is it enough?
But if it's been for a half an hour, they can already pick it up.
Oh, that is so creepy.
The problem here is that this isn't enough to charge Kevin with a murder.
But what a coincidence, no?
But what a coincidence. And
10 cars.
10 cars and only his picked up. And you would think maybe this is because Kevin gave something to Kayla and Kayla OD'd.
I can see that happening.
So this is the main, I would say this is the focus for police at that point. So over the next 7 months, there were targeted searches. They were specifically targeting everything about Kevin, because Kevin already has a lawyer and he's not talking, he's not cooperating. So police is trying to find something out. There were 2 sites that repeatedly caught the attention of cadaver dogs. There was a place of land owned by Kevin's parents. Okay, some land that was owned by Kevin's parents, so you would think maybe Kevin discarded Kyla's body there. And there was also a potato farm where he worked at. And I have problems with both of these. Well, honestly, I only have problem with the second one. I don't think that he had enough, or at least to me, it doesn't seem like he had enough time to fully discard Kyla's body. It maybe he maybe had to come back to finish the job the next day if he is responsible, because his mother said that he was back home by 12, and that would mean that he had only like 1 hour, which I don't know if that's enough to like hide the body. And I also don't know if he would go hiding his body in his place of work, in his own potato farm. Like, it's just seems very stupid to do.
I mean, it feels like there's a lot of areas and
In
nature.
Wisconsin, yeah, that you could pick other than those two locations.
Yeah, definitely. And do we have any information about what he was doing the days after, I meant?
On those days when he was barely communicating?
Like MIA, yep.
No, we don't.
That's very interesting. Because what was he doing? Was he at work?
Or was he trying to...
Was he hanging out with his mother?
Sorry about that. All good. Mistakes happen. Okay, keep going.
Was he hanging out with his mother? Was he hanging out with his friends? What is it? It's just weird that we have nothing about that.
Yes, it is weird. I think his lawyer probably told him to not say anything anymore. And he's probably listening to his lawyer's advice. Just
Pretty interesting. He had the time and the resources to lawyer up.
Yeah. So basically by August 8th of 2011, this is almost 2 years on the anniversary of her disappearance, the reckless endangerment charge was dismissed due to lack of evidence. And this upset Kyla's mother, naturally. And that's all we have on Kevin. So what's your first thoughts on Kevin? Kind of shady, right?
I would like to know more about the other individuals before completely judging Kevin, but by the sound of it,
yeah, good point.
It's very suspicious. Like, I'm very convinced right now that he did something. But let's hear about the other suspicious people.
So there's only one other suspicious person.
But isn't it Miguel and the relative?
Well, yeah. So
okay.
let's. This is
officially, basically.
This is already kind of like digging a bit deeper into this story. So, but let's still talk about it. So obviously Miguel is also questioned at some point, because it was his former place where Kevin had dropped off Kyla, allegedly, and he was cooperative initially. He allowed police to search his new rental place in Wausau.
So he wasn't living with his parents anymore then?
No, he was 19. Apparently he had some sort of freedom. Okay. It was interesting. And, the same place where Kyla had already been, allegedly. So Kyla knew that he wasn't living in the condemned house anymore. And he told law enforcement that he saw Kyla at the party the Friday before she disappeared. Everything still seems completely normal. They checked his phone records, and his phone records showed that he had not contacted Kyla on the day when she disappeared. So it seems like he didn't meet her. That's what he's telling police. And it looked like he didn't meet her. Now, there was one thing that was very bizarre about Miguel. Very bizarre. I don't know if you remember this detail. But he had two phones, okay? His one phone showed no activity, no suspicious activity. His other old phone, the second phone, which it was never explained, is he the one who still has it? Does someone else have his old phone? It was never explained. That old phone made some really weird activity on the day when Kyla disappeared.
Of activity?
It pinged a cell tower around 40 miles north of Wausau between 1 and 2:30 a.m. in a rural location, okay? So it also received 2 unanswered phone calls. His old phone in the middle of nowhere, as I understand, 40 miles away from Wausau, receives 2 phone calls at the middle of the night. And it's not explained who has this phone or what's happening. Law enforcement go to this location. They try to search for Kayla's remains or anything linking that location to Kayla. They got nothing.
And what did Miguel say about it?
Nothing, man.
Or at least we don't know.
We don't know. At least we don't know. So I wish he would come out and publicly talk about it. Law enforcement also searched Miguel's car. They found items of interest. Again, just like in Kevin's case, testing showed no connection to Kayla's disappearance. So Miguel has not been considered as a person of interest, as my understanding, after that. However, I read that Miguel did get a lawyer and he stopped communicating. In his case, I kind of understand it because maybe he is innocent and he just wants to protect himself.
Yeah, but I'm just going to say, damn, these kids were doing so much shady stuff back then.
And so you would say Miguel is not suspicious, right?
Not gonna lie, that ping in a remote location is very weird.
It's kind of odd.
But at the same time, it didn't ping around the location
And
where
who could have his phone? Like, who could have his phone?
Nah, I think it was just him. But the thing is, there must be other areas where it also pinged, and we don't have any information about it. So I'm assuming it's not around the area where Kayla was dropped off.
Well, if we're even gonna believe Kevin at all, she may have never been dropped off in Wausau. It's all Kevin's word.
Do you think she may have been dropped off at that location where Miguel's phone was pinged?
No, or maybe, but police didn't find any evidence of her being there. Now, this is where things get interesting. There's a Facebook post made by Fred Friday, anonymous Facebook account, a burner account, basically has nothing, just was created just to make a post on Facebook, okay? And this guy, he posted some interesting stuff. So let me walk you through this information. He starts off with a post. I'm gonna read some parts, then I'm gonna skip some parts. I'm not gonna make this boring. I'm gonna try to make this as interesting as possible. He says, and he has a link to this page. In a recent online Daily Mail UK news article, it was stated that Miguel and Kayla broke up sometime before Kayla disappeared. He quotes, the couple eventually split, but on the night of August 11, 2009, she reportedly went to visit him. So, if we would believe Kevin, that Kayla told Kevin to drop her off at Miguel's old place where she knew he wasn't living there anymore because it was condemned. Anyways, bizarre. The article didn't mention how much time passed since the breakup and the time that Kayla was last seen. Apparently, 2 group members, and I'm just reading from this, post on Facebook, and if something's not understandable, please let me know because I'm trying to make this understandable. 2 group members of missing Kayla Berg on Facebook stated that Kayla visited Miguel and others at his new address in Wausau. So basically, there are some people, I guess, with insider information are, reinforcing the notion that Kayla did know where Miguel's new place was. It's still understandable what I'm saying, right? Now, this is where things kind of get interesting. Okay. There was this person also keeps writing in the post that there was a member from the Facebook group provided messages posted on a Crime Watch Daily website probably a Facebook comments plugin. Basically, what's happening is here that there's Crime Watch Daily, a true crime website, and it has a comment section, which is a plugin that the website is using, and it's like Facebook comments. You've seen that when there's like a website, but the comments are like Facebook people. You could like log in as a Facebook user and leave a comment, blah, blah. It's simple stuff so far. And there was a website, I think on the website, there was a video about Kayla's case, something like that. And some people were commenting below on Kayla's video. It's understandable so far.
Yeah, definitely.
The messages were provided by an unknown family member of person of interest or someone close to the person of interest. I believe now they're talking about Miguel.
But why not Kevin?
Or maybe Kevin. Honestly, I don't know. I'm just guessing here. Another member of the Facebook group stated she was also at the poker party. I don't know what this is already. This is some deep underground digging that I didn't do.
Insider knowledge. Potentially.
Yeah, some sort of a poker party is mentioned, but doesn't say whether she gave a statement to law enforcement, investigators, whatever, blah, blah. I have no idea what this is, because Kayla was no longer going out with Miguel. And according to the above article on the Crime Watch Daily, I thought that maybe she asked Kevin to be dropped off at Miguel's unoccupied Wausau residence because she was meeting someone else there that she knew. So basically the commenter, Fred Friday, is saying, oh, maybe she wanted to meet up with someone else that we don't even know about, someone else from Wausau that has never been mentioned in the case. So he says, this person, it would be highly unlikely that Kayla was meeting someone she didn't know, considering the time of night. It was almost 10 p.m. on a Tuesday, and what we don't know is how she planned on getting back, since Kevin said he went back to Antigo. So how would she be coming back? That completely makes sense. So this person is saying, was she planning on staying the night, or did she have a ride back? Obviously, Kevin would have asked her how she was getting back, since he was the one who would be facing the music by Kayla's mother and his best friend, which is Kayla's brother. Did they have to hunt him down before he gave the scant details of what he said happened, or did he come forward on his own to let them know? Whichever scenario happened would be significant in discerning whether he was telling the truth to Kayla's mother or the police. I'm telling you, the good part is coming up. Please stay with me. What never was mentioned in the newspapers, and this is where things get interesting, who exactly was still the owner of 1017E Wausau Avenue, where, Kayla was dropped off allegedly by Kevin. And this guy, he kind of went on Wausau, Wisconsin property assessment search website. This is heavy duty digging.
Damn, that's a heavy duty research. Blew you off.
He pulled out screenshots on Facebook. And I have them all here. I'm gonna probably be showing this on the YouTube channel, where it's like real documents, and they say that Miguel Marrero was still kind of receiving property tax bills on that property, meaning he is still the owner. But this is where things get interesting.
Wait, 1 second. I have a question. You're telling me an 18-year-old had a house?
Yeah, and he was getting property tax bills on the house. I don't know where he's getting the money from or whatever, but yeah, apparently that condemned house was in his name.
He was renting another property. That's insane to think about. Like, how?
Yeah, exactly.
Are we that poor?
I don't know. This is like interesting information. Maybe he inherited from parents, I don't know, or grandparents. The website also shows that there was special assessment on the same house, blah, blah, blah. Apparently, for some reason, there's also screenshots that the owner of the house was being billed by the city of Wausau to mow the grass and remove the snow from the sidewalk. This is like, I'm not even gonna, this is where I'm skipping some stuff. He's doing some good digging. Now, this is where this person says one other possibility should be investigated. So basically, all of this stuff that I just been talking about for 5 minutes. My only point is that this person, Fred Friday on Facebook, he establishes the fact that Miguel is still the owner of the house. Someone's still mowing the lawn on that property. It's August. It's lawn mowing time, meaning Miguel most likely still has some sort of connection to the house, and he could be still meeting Kayla, potentially. Just because he doesn't live in this house, he lives in another house in Wausau, only 1 mile away, he could still be using it as a place to meet Kayla, and maybe there should still be some scrutiny thrown towards Miguel.
Yeah, and it's only a mile away.
And this is where things get kind of crazy. There's several homes in this street.
One of them was for elderly people.
It was on the other side of the street.
Yeah.
But on the side where the
residential,
where Miguel's condemned house was at, there were several homes. There are 2 homes. There's another house of interest, which is 1007 E Wausau Avenue. It's basically 2 homes away. So it's Miguel's house, 2 random homes, and another house of interest. And you know why that house is of interest? Well, that house is of interest because we would like to know who lives there. This guy, Fred Friday, he goes back to that same place where he whipped out who's paying property tax on the first house. And he finds that a man named Carrie J. Lang is paying tax for that. And who is Carrie J. Lang?
Who is this random person?
Brother of Miguel Marrero. Have no idea how they're brothers with different last names, but it seems
Maybe
like
half brothers.
It seems like a common thing in Wisconsin, because everyone here who is related to each other has different last names. I don't know how that works, but he's a brother. And so he's a brother, right? I did some digging personally. I went to Facebook. And I found Carrie Lang Jr. from Wausau. He has open friends list. One of the people in the friends list is Miguel Marrero, who was a sales associate at GameStop at some point. So they're connected. Miguel Marrero and Carrie Lang Jr., they're connected. They're brothers. Why is it interesting that his brother has a house close to where Kayla was dropped off on the night when she disappeared? Well, because he basically has an outstanding warrant.
Wait, what?
He has an outstanding warrant for operating while revoked. So I think driving a car while not having driver's license. So maybe nothing.
Oh, come on, that's
nothing too suspicious, right?
that could happen to anyone.
Yeah. And this guy digged some more. There's another guy, Cody L. Croplin. And this is a cousin of Miguel and Carrie Lang Jr. He lived also in this property.
Which property?
Property that is owned
The
by
second one.
Carrie Lang
Okay,
Jr.
okay.
And he is a S offender cousin. So now things get more interesting because there's another apparent S offender, as I understand, named Alfredo B. Marrero.
Ooh.
A guy number 2 who also was living nearby. So now...
Is it somehow related to Miguel?
Yeah, he's a cousin.
So
Two of his cousins are S offenders, registered S offenders.
Oh my gosh, what?
And they were living kind of close to where Kayla was last.
But then again, this is... I'm assuming the properties weren't like beside each other.
Literally on the same street.
No, like on the same street, but for example, one house would be like, I don't know, and there would be some sort of like backyard or like, I don't know.
Yeah, like
separating.
2 homes and then the house.
But if, for example, you're in house 1, would you be able to see someone from house 2 walking inside, or is it kind of like a little bit farther away? I'm just trying to gauge the distance of the houses.
So the distance is like maybe from here to our little store. It's
Okay,
pretty close.
so that's pretty close.
They're pretty close. Just want to tell you. So what do you think now?
So I'm assuming, like, what are we trying to...
So we're establishing that
Those
Miguel's...
ex-offenders ran and took Kayla?
No, we're just saying that Miguel's questionable cousins were living very
In the area.
close to where Kayla was last dropped off allegedly by Kevin, and then Miguel is also, I think, mowing the lawn
At nighttime?
No, at some time. That means that he still has connection
do you
to the
think
house.
he was staying at that house for a little bit?
All I'm saying is that this person on Facebook kind of made a pretty good case, in my opinion, that maybe Miguel shouldn't be just completely discredited like that.
That's true. That's true.
Even though Kevin is my main person of interest, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I would say though Miguel is an interesting character in the case.
I wonder if the elderly place in front of it, maybe they had like a...
Security footage?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be nice.
That would be nice, right? Because it seemed like it's one of those higher end ones. You know what I mean? From the looks of it.
Yeah, it looks nice.
Yes, so I hope there was some sort of security footage that wasn't really brought out in public.
Well, that's all I got on the case, realistically. And
No, it's a very nice research, I would say.
yeah, a little bit of a deeper dive provided by Fred Friday, whoever that
Thank
guy
you,
is.
Fred.
Whoever that guy, that's a fake account.
I don't know what to think, because it's like, so far I'm still leaning towards Kevin because it feels more... He feels more involved. Let's put it that way. Miguel, sure, the location was his property and basically the location was his family's. Everyone's like related to each other, but at the same time, it felt like Kevin was, there with her.
I also will say that Kevin was the last person to be known to be with Kayla, and apparently he dropped off Kayla at a dark, shady place when Kayla had plans on calling Beth that she never followed through. The dogs indicated at his car,
That's crazy.
the only car out of 10 cars, and his actions are kind of like suspicious because he's like this big protector, big brother who takes care of them.
And all of a sudden you can't get a hold of him for days.
Or he's like just dropping off Kayla and just like, okay, whatever.
It's nighttime. I'm a bit high. It's nearly midnight. You're scared of the dark. And we're miles away from home, 35 miles to be exact, and you have no car or any means to go back. I'll drop you off right here.
Yeah. I would say Kevin Kielcheski. And
In an abandoned place.
And the fact that Kevin Kielcheski was so scrutinized by police.
Yeah, it feels like they had more on him,
It almost feels like they are certain he's responsible. They just can't get enough
evidence for it.
Yeah. So yeah, I would say for me still, Fred Friday is making a good attempt here, but
it's honestly it's very convincing. And come on, let's not get rid of the possibilities. There's a possibility that those two SOs could have been involved. Maybe one of them could have been involved. Maybe Miguel was involved.
Maybe he did have that old phone that pinged in a weird location.
Yeah, I don't know what's up with the two phones. Although I personally knew someone who had, but mainly because she was too social.
Yeah, no, I could see having two phones because then, you upgrade one of your phones. Now you're all of a sudden left with two phones.
But why would you keep the old phone?
Because it's fun. You get to have two phones.
Well, right now we have two phones, like company phones, but then again, it doesn't work. Doesn't count.
Anyways, So this is where I would like to drop off the podcast because it's been, I don't know how long have we been going, but I feel like more than an hour for sure. I have nothing else to say. I think we're in agreement that Kevin looks suspicious. I would like to...
Very suspicious, and I don't know. It's like, it's been, 16 years with no updates about this case, and it's pretty terrible. I would just put it that way. It's really terrible. I feel so sad for Kayla and her family, and she was so young. And yeah, it's very unfortunate that this happened to her.
It's terrible, man.
And no answer still.
Yeah. Hopefully someone from the comments can make sense of this better than we did.
Maybe anyone in
Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you for listening to the podcast, guys. Please leave your thoughts in some comment section or text us or email us somehow.
Text us how?
Somehow, and then we will talk to you on the next one.
We'll talk to you very soon. And for the next episode, we'll try our best not to do American cases. I saw a comment that was requesting
something not American for one time, so we'll try to do that. Okay, but yeah, thank you, team, and we will talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.